The longest 5 minutes. I love turn-based RPGs. I've said this in many of my RPG reviews. I'm a big fan of the Lunar series, and I just finished all the translated Trails series. And so this one should be a no-brainer for me to love. But unfortunately, it takes one awesome concept and never pays off on it. The game starts off in the final battle with the big bad, and the main character loses his memory. He can't remember why he's fighting this guy named the Demon King. However, with that name, you might assume he's just evil. Your friends who are on this journey with you are quite taken back by your loss of memory. They try to jog your memory, and it does come back in flashbacks, which coincidentally enough is the main character's name, Flashback. The whole story is told in flashbacks, with you remembering what you did to get to this point. The flashbacks were not always in order, and the length of them would also vary. This title is sort of a visual novel RPG. The final fight with the Demon King is told in a visual novel style, and you decide what to do with dialogue boxes instead of using swords or spells. The whole fight with the Demon King is done in 5 minutes. Not real time, but 5 minutes in game time. And you can see the timer going up as the story moves on. That's why they call this the longest 5 minutes, because every 10 to 20 seconds in game time, you're going to get about a 10 to 40 minute flashback. The visual style and the layout of the world is both good and bad. I like the characters. They were both expressive and interesting. However, the world you interact with looks like a novice's RPG Maker project. There are loads of characters to talk to, but there's only a few of them that are important, and the rest of them are just there for filler. The ones that are important have an exclamation mark around their heads, so you really don't have to talk to anyone who doesn't have one of those. I did appreciate the exclamation marks. It made the game way less tedious. There are goals in each of the flashbacks, and some of them you're going to need to redo a flashback to get them all. Redoing a memory is as easy as finding the memory you want to redo and clicking on it. After you're done, you would end up exactly where you left off. So there really is no downside to replaying a memory. Now the tone shifts a lot. Sometimes it's the memory of when you were in prison, or the memory of when you came upon a town and everyone had disappeared, or maybe there was that memory where we decided to peek on the girls at the hot springs. It's strange to have these odd moments show up, where it's just like the tone has completely changed. Now that's not to say this is a serious game, because in fact it's quite amusing at times, but these tone shifts did feel jarring. Now you might have noticed that I haven't really talked about the battles that you have to do, mainly because they're terrible. Most of the fights just keep hitting A to win. You just need to remember to heal occasionally. But until the later parts of the game, this is the most boring part, which is unfortunately the most common part. At first I did try doing magic attacks that I thought would be most effective on the enemies that I came across, until I realized that most of the time it's just faster just to do generic attacks. There is an auto fight button, but it's 2 button presses away, and then you have to pick which strategy you want to use. You just won't be using that, because pressing A many times works way better. They should have put the auto fight as the default position when you start a fight. The level designs were just awful. The levels are pretty generic to look at, but they put in obstructions there just to slow you down. And it makes no sense narratively. Why does this lookout tower have a Pokemon style game arrows where you have to travel on them? There's like little pieces of trash on the ground. Why can't I just step over them? The level designs were basically mazes in the real world, and they were a chore to go through. But at least you can cast a spell to stop encounters for about 2 minutes. The spells that you have are pretty cheap to cast. They would cost about 2 to 12 magic points in the beginning, and most of the healing ones were that low. And when your characters have around 150 to 300 magic points, and you get refilled every chapter, it's not a big deal. So just use magic as much as you can. Speaking of which, this is the main problem behind the game's concept. Each flashback is done in sections, so don't bother buying weapons or items, as they'll just go away in the next flashback. Plus the next chapter might already have items you already used. The way the game works is that since it's a memory, all the gold that you earned, gone. Replace it with the gold that it remembers having at the time. Your characters level up automatically. Since to them it's just a memory and they've already grinded for the levels. You're actually going to get re-experience points. And those points will add on to the attributes of whatever level character remembered their level to be at the time. This is good since you really don't have to worry about grinding for your levels. But it's also discouraging to anyone who likes to buy items, or weapons, or get stuff from treasure chests. There is no incentive to get the chests. And also don't bother saving any items. Use them all! They might just show up again in the next chapter. The longest 5 minutes had a great concept. A whole story told in flashbacks. The characters that you control were fun to play, and occasionally it will show like it has a good idea for a chapter, but either it underdelivers or it makes it so tedious to get to the goal, it makes it not fun to play. Believe it or not, this game currently is $39.99, and that is nuts. I thought this would have been like $14.99. I think you should wait for this to really go on sale, and I'm talking about under $10. It's one of those games that you could see the creators had an idea, but didn't know how to deliver. Now the concept behind this game is interesting enough for me to say you probably shouldn't skip this, but you should definitely wait till it's really on sale.